Hello, my name is Marcia Johnson and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Together with my grandnieces and nephew, Allie, Ashley, and Ryan, we are Marcia's Crafts. And today we would like to show you how to make this quick and easy card. I like to make several of them and then just stamp sentiments for various occasions, keep them on hand, and when the occasion arises, put the sentiment down and you're good to go. So let's get started. First thing you will need is the Best Birds stamp set and the Hardwood stamp set. Best Birds stamp set can be found on page 108 of the annual catalog, and the Hardwood set can be found on page 172 of the annual catalog. Next thing you will need are the stitched shape framelets. You will need the largest of the stitch squares. From the layering squares framelets, you will need the largest of the plain squares and the largest of the scalloped squares. You might also want to use the Birds and Blooms Thinlits. The only thing you would use is this tiny little framelit here to cut out flowers. But if you're not making a bunch of cards, I think cutting them out by hand is easier. Okay, for cardstock, you are going to need early espresso. You'll need one piece 8.5 by 5.5 scored and folded at 4 1/4. You'll need another piece about 3.5 by 3.5. For Balmy Blue, you'll need a piece around 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And then you'll also need a piece 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 and another scrap around 1 by 3 or so. For the Very Vanilla, you will need a piece that is 5 1/4 by 4, and you'll need a piece that is around 3 by 3, and another piece for the sentiment that's around 3/4 by 3. For Crumb Cake, you will need a piece that is 5 1/4 by 4, and you'll need a Very Vanilla envelope. Okay, we're going to do the big shot work first. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, let me tell you though what else you need. You will need early espresso ink, Balmy Blue ink, some dimensionals, some pearls, scissors, tweezers, a blender pen, some glue, and a pokey tool. And I think that about covers it. Oh, a big shot. Okay, let's do our big shot work first. You will need the big shot platform. You'll need the thin die adapter. You'll need a cutting pad. You need your early espresso square, your Balmy Blue square, and your Very Vanilla square. On the early espresso square, you will put the largest of the scallop squares. On the Balmy Blue, you will put the largest of the regular squares, and on the Very Vanilla, you'll put the stitch shape square. And if you can get them on here just right, and put the top cutting pad on, and then run them through your big shot. Through the magic of YouTube, here they are. These two can be put aside for a moment, and these things are what we'll be stamping on. First thing we're going to do is our crumb cake. To do that, you need to put your hardwood stamp on a large block. Some people just put it down, but I find for some reason, for me, it works better on a block. Then you're going to ink it up with early espresso ink. Sorry, I know that makes the camera shake, but so far I haven't been able to figure out how not to have that happen. Now you're going to take your crumb cake piece, and I line it up at the bottom to be sure that it's pretty straight, and then I just let it fall forward. Then you take a piece of typewriter paper or copy paper, holding one hand down at all times, give it a good press with the other hand. Change hands, but just make sure you put pressure all over that stamp surface. And then if we're lucky, it'll turn out like that. Lay that aside to dry for a little bit. Okay, next bring back our early espresso ink. I'm still getting used to these new pads. I like them, but they do take a little bit of getting used to. And first thing we're going to do is our sentiment. Thoughts for you. And I'm placing it a little bit towards the right because I'm going to put a little flower on the end there, and I want to flag the other end. So just leave it for a second so that ink can soak in. Oh, pretty good. Okay, next thing we're going to do is our bird. We're going to put him right in the middle of our stitched square. Perfect. Then we're going to do the inside of our card with our bird and put him in the bottom right hand side. And the last thing we need to do with our little bird is the envelope. We're going to put them in the bottom left hand side. Whoops. Okay, next thing we're going to do is our little flower. And we're going to do 5 of them on this little blue scrap. Oops, that one didn't come out so well. Well, we have room to do 5 more. Okay. Then we're going to do one flower on the outside of our envelope, down beneath our little birdie's breast. And then we're going to do 2 of our little flowers on the stitch square panel. One about here, and then another one about here. Okay, and I think that does it for our stamping. Next thing, we're going to pull out the Balmy Blue ink and press. I find it easier to press from the back, but I actually have to stand up and do this because it takes more pressure than it used to. Kind of like giving CPR. And hopefully, oh, that made a nice puddle. Okay, we're going to take our blender pen, make sure it's clean, and we're going to color in the flowers we've stamped on the envelope and on our stitch square panel. Make sure you don't spend too much time here because this is the Early Espresso is not waterproof ink, and it will bleed, and the paper is not watercolor paper, and it will pill if you bother it too much. So just do it as quickly as you can. Just color in the flowers. I suppose you could color in the bird too if you wanted to, at least the head and the wings or something, but I kind of like him just the way he is, so I'm going to leave him as is. Okay, remember to clean off your blender pen. And that should do it for the coloring. One more step and we're ready to assemble. You need to cut out 5 of these cards. As I said, you can run it through the Big Shot with that little die, or you can just hand cut them. I'm going to just cut one out, and through the miracle of YouTube again, I have the rest already done. When you're cutting out, when you're fussy cutting, I think it's best that you just have your scissors open and close the blade, and then just move the paper with your other hand. Seems to give a smoother cut. Okay. Then what I do with these little flowers, I have something against flat flowers. So I take my pokey tool, put the flower on something soft. Sorry, my hands are stained with whatever. I've been crafting all morning. I think it's Mary Merlot. And espresso, early espresso. I always get that all over me. Okay, now we are ready. So first we take our card base, and I don't know why, but I like to do the inside first. So we'll take our glue. You don't need much. That's probably way more than you need. And the nice thing about the glue is it gives you a second to make sure everything's square. And then on the front, we'll do our Balmy Blue layer. With just the tiniest of margins around of the Early Espresso. That's pretty good. Then we'll take our Crumb Cake. Layer it on the Balmy Blue. Again with just a tiny border. Next we'll take our scalloped early espresso and put the Balmy Blue on top of it, our squares. Then our image on top of that, our little stitched square. Turn it over and let's put some dimensionals on the back. Okay, put our panel on the front, trying to get it equidistant, top, left hand side, right hand side. Then let's take our sentiment. I don't think I want my flag quite that long, so trim off a little bit. Then flag the left end. Okay, put some glue on the back of him and put him down just right up against the edge of the crumb cake layer. There you go. Okay, next we'll get our little flowers. Open up the card and put 2 on the inside. A little dot will do ya. One right here. One right there. And while we're in here, I'm going to take 2 pearls and put them in the middle of the flowers. Okay, then we'll finish up the front. We'll put 1 flower at the right end of the sentiment. And 1 on top of those 2 flowers at the top of the bird. Just stick it in there. And then 1 by the bird's little feet. And then again, we'll put some pearls in the center of those flowers. I've been getting my head in the way. I'm really sorry. I'm kind of out of the habit of doing videos, so it's going to take a little while, I think, to get back in the swing, but hopefully we'll be doing more and more often and getting better at it. By the way, if you would like to purchase any of these products, please go to marciascrafts.stampingup.net. We are also on YouTube, which you should probably gather at Marcia's Crafts, and Pinterest also. And if you'd like to see more cards, please come back. If you would, you could subscribe. That would be great. Even give us a thumbs up if you like the card. And thanks to Gaynor Boyce, an English or a UK demonstrator, we've gotten a lot of new subscribers. I want to thank her again. She did us a big favor by posting our site on her site. And again, if you'd like to shop with us or just come back and hang out for a bit, please do. Thank you so much. Bye for now.